I can give you. Every contract I've worked on, we've had enough volume where we dictated flat pricing.
Sure. So at the end of, maybe the next set of questions, at the end of, once the contract is up for renewal, would you always tender, go for a sort of auction?
Yes, I would say yes. The only time that the answer would be no is with some of our, so again, just thinking of the RPO space more globally, some of our niche areas where we might have, another third party, not the main RPO, that they do some of our recruiting and talent acquisition strategy and stuff there. We might be so comfortable with the situation and we know we have a good contract that we might just do an amendment and extend out for another, time frame. I think it also depends on the timing of existing contract, right? So as a rule of thumb, and again, as a very biased sourcing guy, anything that's 3-year contract, at the minimum, I'm going to use the threat of an RFP against the incumbent, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to at least start the conversation.
Sure.
And step into the situation and say, well, and sometimes it's I'm going to be frank with you guys, sometimes it's bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going through cost-cutting measures. We really have to find cost savings, what can you do for me? Because if you can't reduce my price and you come back to me and tell me that it's going to be a cost increase or flat pricing, then my rules dictate that I have to go out to RFP, right?
Yeah.
And in some of the smaller contracts, sometimes that's enough, right? They'll come back to the table and find something for you. So ultimately, my answer to your question, it all depends. But the best rule of thumb as a sourcing person, yes, RFP is the way to keep suppliers honest, right? You have to do a market survey, a true market survey, and RFP is the way to do it.
Absolutely understand. Assuming that your incumbent provider is very good in terms of delivery capabilities, quality of hire, and maybe a bit more expensive for that, what would it take a new bidder when the contract is up for renewal in terms of price to, in a way, knock out the incumbent, assuming that they may not be able to, the lower price bidder will not be able to match the quality of hires, but what would it take in terms of price to knock out the incumbent?
Yeah, good question. And so I will give you my answer, but before I do, I want you to keep in mind that typically these decisions of making such a big switch are going to be, a pretty diverse group of people at each of these companies. I don't know of any situation where, it's a 2 or 3 person decision-making process. So with that in mind, it's obviously going to be a mix of some of the subjective answers that new provider is going to give you. And the reason I say subjective is you're going to ask them for their SLAs and their performance with their customers, and they're going to give you a response, right? But you don't know it for fact. You just have to kind of take their word for it. And in that, you're kind of taking a leap of faith in a way. To answer the main part of your question, the pricing, at minimum, I'd say 5% reduction, right? Or it has to be a very compelling, proposal on the new company's side of what they've been able to achieve with their other customers in terms of quality of hire, major reduction in time to fill, right? So they, and I'll give you a specific example that we've seen. They might come to us and say, hey, listen, over the last 2 years, we've really diversified our portfolio in terms of number of customers in your industry. And we can tell you that we have a very robust pipeline of individuals that meet your criteria for finance, sourcing, and tax and treasury. Let's just go with the 3 examples I gave you earlier. We know that we have a robust pipeline of talent because we're seeing it in your industry with all of our other customers. So we can guarantee you, right, and sometimes they can, fit SLAs into this. We can guarantee you a certain level of experience for the positions that you are looking for because we know that we have the talent pool. We've identified the candidates already.